So we move on now to item 15, number of files submitted for the 2022 and 2023 cycles, and number of files that can be treated in the 2024 and 2025 cycles. Before giving the floor to the Secretariat, allow me to recall that the number of files is an important issue that has been discussed at great length by the committee and the open-ended intergovernmental working group during the global reflection on the listing mechanisms that was completed earlier this year. At its 9th session in July 2022, the General Assembly decided that the number of files that can be treated in a given cycle is set at no more than 60. Let me now give the floor to Mr. Curtis to give us more details. Mr. Secretary, please. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I will be a bit longer than usual this time because the General Assembly has adopted a decision and a revision to operational directives, so I just wish to explain that document 15 contains two parts: a report on the two ongoing nomination cycles, meaning this year 2022 and that for the 2023 cycle next year. And there is also a proposal in the second part for the number of files that can be treated in the immediate next two cycles, meaning the 2024 cycle and the 2025 cycle. The working document provides information on the 59 files and 60 files that were treated respectively as part of 2022 and 2023 cycles. While detailed information is provided in the working document, allow me to outline here some of the key trends that we can observe from the past three cycles. After a continuous increase in the number of files until the 2021 cycle, the number of nomination files submitted each year seems to be stabilizing at a level around or just slightly above 60 files. We had 60 files submitted for 2022 cycle and 67 for the 2023 cycle. The number of states parties that are treated under priority 0 is also stable, or starting to stabilize. We see now that 38 states in the 2022 cycle and 44 in the 2023 cycle. This means that all states that submitted a file could have at least one national file treated over a 2-year period. At the same time, over the same 2-year period, all nominations to the urgent safeguarding list, nominations from states with no inscribed element, and multinational files could be treated also under priority 1 and priority 2. The number of multinational files treated in each of the two cycles grows and remains high, 19 in the 2022 cycle and 13 in the 2023 cycle, which represents about, on average, 1/4 of the total files included in a cycle. The increasing number of multinational files demonstrates a success of the Convention as a platform for international cooperation among states and communities. However, the increasing number could lead to a situation where states with as few as one element inscribed can no longer be included in a cycle. And since it has been observed that in some cases the same states tend to submit multiple multinational files, a prioritization system within multinational files is proposed in the draft decision when necessary, so as to encourage a wider number of states to have a file treated. So for the 2024 and 2025 cycles, and looking ahead, the global reflection process on the listing mechanisms will have major implications, particularly, and we will start seeing the effects in those cycles, 2024 and 2025. And I'd like to recall here, and I'm sorry to be a bit long, but some of the main changes to the operational directives. Firstly, it is now in the operational directives that the annual sealing of files to be included in a given cycle is set, and I quote, at no more than 60. Secondly, the practice of the priority 0 applied by successive decisions of the committee since 2014 is now formally introduced in the operational directives, paragraph 34. From the 2024 cycle onwards, the committee will no longer examine standalone requests for international assistance, which will all be dealt with by the Bureau. So only requests with nominations to the urgent safeguarding list, what we call combined requests, will come to the committee. Several new types of procedure will be treated outside the annual ceiling, including the transfer requests between the lists and between the urgent safeguarding list and the register, as well as the follow-up of inscribed elements and the nominations on an extended or reduced basis. The impact of these new procedures on the workload of the committee, the evaluation body, and the secretariat will be monitored and reported to the 10th session of the General Assembly in 2024. Taking stock of the new revisions for 2024 and 2025 cycles, the working document proposes to set at no more than 60 the number of files that can be treated in each of those cycles, and as stipulated now in paragraph 33 of the operational directives. In doing so, it will also be ensured that all files under priority 0 are treated and included. It also proposes to consider a prioritization system within multinational files if ever the inclusion of all multinational files under priority 2 would bring the total number of files for a cycle above 60. Priority would first be given to files involving at least one state with no national element inscribed, and then to files with the fewest elements inscribed per state concerned. Allow me to underline that this system will not necessarily occur in every cycle, but given that this situation has occurred twice in the past 3 cycles, it is important, we deemed it important to get guidance from the committee on how to deal with these cases. And thirdly, it encourages states parties to refrain from submitting several multinational files in the same cycle. In this way, a better representativity of the lists could be achieved. Before ending my presentation, I would like to take this opportunity to inform the committee that we are currently finalizing the revision of the existing forms together with the development of new forms to reflect the changes made in the operational directives and the development of new procedures. These revised forms will be used for the first time for the 2024 and 2025 cycles, but they were the forms you will use to submit any potential submissions next year by March 31st, and will concern nominations to both lists, including transfers between the lists, nominations on an extended or reduced basis. They will also be applied to proposals to the register as well as preparatory assistance. We hope that the simplifications proposed in the forms to be published before the end of the year will facilitate the preparation of files by communities, but as I have said before, we will need to wait until 2 years to see their real impact. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Tim. Now I'm opening the floor about the issue. I know, of course, and you all know that we have discussed these issues at length during our works within the open-ended working group, but I know that these are questions and issues that are of utmost importance for all of us. So the floor is open to their excellencies if they wish to take the floor on the issue. Thank you. La parole est à l'Allemagne. Monsieur l'ambassadeur, la parole est à vous.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour à tout le monde. Merci beaucoup, Tim Curtis, pour ce rapport qui me semble très, très bien pensé et réfléchi. Moi, je veux prôner d'abord le fait qu'on doit s'engager pour faire autant comme possible des inscriptions multinationales et transfrontalières. Je trouve ça respire vraiment l'idée de l'UNESCO. Et je crois en tout ce qu'on fait au patrimoine immatériel, il faut essayer de trouver des solutions transfrontalières, multinationales. Donc, une grande piste pour les inscriptions multinationales. Quand à la chiffre de 60, à mon avis, il ne faut pas être plus royaliste que le roi. Il faut à peu près 60 sur la pouce, mais je trouve s'il y a vraiment des inscriptions qui vaut la peine, il ne faut pas se limiter avec un chiffre fixe, mais à peu près, vu le travail de l'organe d'évaluation, ça me semble un chiffre bien. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur l'ambassadeur. Merci à l'Allemagne. Y a-t-il une autre demande de prise de parole? Sweden, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks to the Secretariat for the presentation. Sweden fully supports the draft decision. As the document shows, we still face challenges when it comes to the number of files. Although we are in a better position with the results from the global reflection of the listing mechanism, it is also a fact that the financial and human resources within the Secretariat and the evaluation body are limited. The introduction of new procedures in the operational directives will result in an increased workload in addition to the no more than 60 files. The report also highlights in a very clear way the challenges associated with multinational files. We, all state parties, must take this into account when considering submitting new nominations. Sweden would like to thank the Secretariat for their efforts to make ends meet and presenting a passable solution with a proposal that allows for some flexibility that will permit greater equity among submitting states and a prioritization system for multinational files. We also want to underline the importance of the invitation to states parties to take the present decision and current situation as regards multinational files into account when submitting files for coming cycles, to show restraint from submitting several multinational files in the same cycle so as to allow for a better representativity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sweden. Now I'm giving the floor to Czechia, Republic of Czechia. You have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous remercions le secrétariat pour son analyse de la situation actuelle et pour la proposition sur la façon de procéder au cours du prochain exercice biennal. Pendant cette session, nous avons écouté l'organe d'évaluation qui a souligné qu'un temps considérable est nécessaire pour évaluer minutieusement chaque candidature et que toute nouvelle augmentation du plafond annuel de cas à évaluer aurait un impact négatif sur la qualité du processus d'évaluation. À la lumière de nos discussions sur le mécanisme de dialogue, notamment, qui ne peut déjà pas être utilisé pour toutes les questions identifiées par l'organe d'évaluation dans les dossiers de candidature pour des raisons de capacité, il est évident qu'une nouvelle augmentation ne serait pas possible et durable. Nous avons également entendu que l'introduction de nouvelles procédures dans les directives opérationnelles, comme l'élargissement, réduction d'un élément ou son transfert, entraînera une augmentation de la charge de travail du comité, de l'organe d'évaluation et du secrétariat. Nous sommes conscients que le secrétariat, l'organe d'évaluation et le comité sont donc à la limite de leurs capacités et c'est pourquoi nous appuyons le projet de décision, y compris l'invitation faite aux États soumettant plus de candidatures transnationales à tenir compte de la situation actuelle afin que d'autres États aient également la possibilité de proposer leurs éléments et ainsi assurer une plus grande représentativité des États soumissionnaires et de leur patrimoine culturel immatériel. Et nous attendons impatiemment la note du secrétariat pour les candidatures multinationales. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Merci beaucoup à la République tchèque. Now I'm giving the floor to India. Excellency, you have the floor. India.
Thank you, Excellency. While appreciating the work of the Secretariat and the evaluation bodies, as well as the report submitted by Mr. Curtis, India would like to have greater dialogue and consultations with new members of the committee before any changes are made to the operational directives. Although we do support that the number 60 seems reasonable. However, I would like to echo what my colleague from Germany said. No file that deserves to be on the list should be denied an opportunity to be on the list only because a particular number has been reached. There needs to be some flexibility rather than restrictions placed on member states. But in general, we do support this limit to a large extent because, as Mr. Curtis has said, that the number seems to have stabilized over the past years of somewhere around 60. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Thank you very much, India. Now I'm giving the floor to Switzerland. La Suisse, vous avez la parole.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. En fait, je n'avais pas particulièrement l'intention de prendre la parole parce que nous sommes d'avis que cette question du plafond de nombre de dossiers a déjà été discutée. Nous ne souhaitons pas réouvrir maintenant cette discussion. Nous avons déjà eu tous les arguments qui nous ont démontré que nous devons prendre en compte la capacité de travail et de fournir un travail de qualité de la part de l'organe d'évaluation. Nos discussions de cette semaine nous ont bien démontré qu'est-ce que le comité entend par travail de qualité. Nous souhaitons que l'organe d'évaluation puisse faire autant de dialogue que possible dans le cadre actuel des directives opérationnelles, pour ne mentionner que cet élément-là qui a été soulevé. Et donc, il ne nous paraît pas sage maintenant de vouloir modifier à nouveau cette limite supérieure d'un maximum de 60 dossiers que nous avons tout récemment défini. Donc, à l'instar d'autres collègues qui ont déjà exprimé cette position, la Suisse souhaite vraiment qu'on en reste là et qu'on ne recommence pas encore une fois un débat sur ce sujet-là, mais qu'on se concentre plutôt justement sur quel type d'évaluation nous voulons, si jamais, pour qu'on puisse encore accroître cette qualité qui nous tient à cœur. Merci.
Merci beaucoup Muriel. Et je pense que les intervenants qui se sont succédés n'ont pas remis en cause le plafond de 60. Je pense que ce soit l'Allemagne ou l'Inde, ils ont parlé plus un peu de flexibilité. Je pense que se lier complètement les mains ne serait pas une bonne chose, et nous l'avons vu durant cette semaine et cette session. Mais le 60, on est tous d'accord évidemment, tout le monde y adhère, il n'y a strictement aucun problème. Je pense que les intervenants qui ont parlé de flexibilité avaient aussi raison de pouvoir l'exprimer pour ne pas se lier complètement les mains. Mais nous sommes tous d'accord et nous n'allons absolument pas rouvrir la discussion sur ce point. Je donne la parole à Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, and thank you, committee members. And I also won't go into the number 60, which was debated at length and adopted by the General Assembly. So the language in our decision is exactly that which was adopted by the General Assembly following about 2 years of debates. I do want to say quickly for the multinational files, there is some flexibility in the new systems, and a very important flexibility. To be honest, we're not sure, that's why we'll have to reassess. But what is possible now is for states, communities, and countries to join already existing and to extend multinational nominations, and that happens outside of the limit of 60. So there, in that sense, the multinational approach to ICH safeguarding, in a way, is not being diminished, but even further encouraged and further supported, so that countries and communities may join already existing files without it being included in the limit of 60 per year. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Merci beaucoup, Tim, pour ces précisions. Y a-t-il parmi les membres du comité d'autres demandes de prise de parole avant que je ne passe la parole aux observateurs? Je fais un dernier tour de... Il me semble qu'il n'y en a pas. Donc, je donne la parole à la France. La France, vous avez la parole.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, et bonjour à tous. Concernant justement ces candidatures transnationales, voilà, nous comprenons très bien les contraintes, la charge de travail qui pèse sur le secrétariat, l'organe d'évaluation, et nous voyons bien par ailleurs que ces candidatures ne permettent pas nécessairement une meilleure représentativité géographique. C'est vrai que nous en avions 2, voilà, et d'autres davantage. Donc, toutefois, nous voyons bien que ces candidatures multinationales sont vraiment un très beau mécanisme de coopération qui reflète parfaitement l'esprit de la Convention, surtout quand ils conduisent à mettre en place des mesures de sauvegarde partagées. Et donc, comme beaucoup de collègues, l'ont indiqué, nous appellerions aussi à la souplesse pour préserver ce type de coopération. Merci.
Merci beaucoup à la France et merci aussi pour cet esprit de flexibilité parce qu'effectivement, il est important. La parole est à la Jamaïque. Jamaica, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Jamaica underscore the need to stress capacity building in all areas of the convention. This will help state parties to be more precise in the description of elements. We encourage the committee to strive for balance between the rules of the competition and the human elements associated with the communities making the submission. This could lead to a more balanced geographical distribution of elements. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jamaica. Are there any other requests for the floor among the observers? I see none. So let's move on to the decision. It's the decision 17.15. Can we adopt this draft decision? This 17.com as shown on the screen? Or would you prefer to proceed paragraph by paragraph? But I think that we can adopt it as a whole without any discussions on the paragraphs because it doesn't pose any problem. We all agreed on what is in it. Can you scroll it, please? Yes, thank you. We have 10 paragraphs in this decision. Est-ce que nous pourrions adopter cette décision telle qu'elle apparaît à l'écran? S'il n'y a pas d'objection, donc je considère que la décision est adoptée. Merci beaucoup aux membres du comité et ça nous laisse du temps pour que, à la fin de la session, nous puissions donner la parole à ceux qui le souhaitent avant de lever évidemment la séance. Merci beaucoup. 14.